We're coming in hot today. Georgia beats Clemson. Tulane, my sleeper, almost beat Oklahoma. And the Mississippi State fan club needs to be put in check today on 3rd and 3.
Welcome inside another edition of 3rd and 3, everybody. How is everybody doing today? And especially a big weekend of college football. Alabama rolled, and unfortunately for Clemson, they got rolled by Georgia. Joey, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. Of course, my arch nemesis is on the show today. Xander. Xander, how you doing today?
Good.
Son, you may want to cover your ears today. We got something we got to talk about. Listen.
I'll talk about in 5 minutes.
In fact, that's Stingray, we're gonna have a little talk, man. So Thursday night, I believe. It was Thursday night. A guy named Brendan Walker from Barstool Sports was talking a little trash about you. Of course, we sent out a video explaining that, hey, you know what? You need to keep your mouth and keep Stingray's name out your mouth. Keep it out off your keyboard. And for unforeseen circumstances, we had to remove the video, but 25,000 people saw what we were about. Bottom line is this. Brendan Walker, okay? Let's get something straight. I'm not insulting you. I'm just describing you. You're a freaking big blonde hair Mississippi Zach Morris lookalike motherfucker. You ain't. Only thing you do is keep David Portner's right. That's it, and that's your job. First, let me explain something to you. See, the CTS Stingray has a heart of gold. See, Stingray don't need the CTS. CTS needs Stingray. He comes on to the CTS not because he has to, because he wants to. He's helped this channel out. He'll give his shirt off his back to help anyone out, and then have a ugly, hermaphrodite looking motherfucker yourself sit there and want to make fun of Stingray. Pisses me off because you ain't nobody special. You ain't nothing. And then the other day, I was listening to a podcast, something called Thunder and Lightning. Stingray, of all people, introduced me to this podcast because for me, I had to learn how, about other teams now that we're doing a sports show. So I'm sitting there and I'm listening to it, and of course, this guy, what's his name?
Brian Hadad.
Brian Hadad. Let's call him Rubus Hagrid from Harry Potter. Conrad Thompson, because he's just a hairy, big, fat, greasy looking Mississippian. That it's not. He's a nobody, but then he wants to sit there and insult Stingray because his family paid $40 for cameo. You lucky that Stingray took the time out of his day to sit there and do this.
My friends and my family tried to bring Stingray into my life. Stingray is one of my top 5 least favorite people on the earth.
He gave us a shout out. He gave our podcast a shout out.
Everybody, check out the Thunder and Lightning podcast. I used to be a State fan on Fine Bob. Woo!
I'm not going to hate on Stingray.
I got no time in the day for that guy. That's why they struggled.
Well, I will bring you two together at some point.
I can assure you that you will not.
Barstool Sports got millions of subscribers. We got thousands of subscribers. We don't even got thousands of subscribers. We have 1,000 subscribers. We ain't nobody special. Barstool Sports will squash us, but that doesn't mean you have the right to talk trash about Stingray. And Xander, say something educated.
Okay. Look, man. Look at this show today. One more time, and you talk bad about Stingray, it's the bottom line for you. One more time and you're out. One more time you talk about Stingray in a bad way, I am coming to your house and I'm going to kill you to death. Anyone does that.
Xander, you can't nobody, man.
If you keep talking bad about Stingray, you're out of the show and we'll have to talk to you very hard. And we'll come to your house and fight you.
That's an 8-year-old
That's the
talking.
end of you.
That's an 8-year-old talking straight up. He ain't scared of you. Nobody here scared of you. Keep Stingray out your mouth and off your keyboard.
I'll kind of address some of that stuff today just because, I mean, it's to the point, fellas. I don't know if you'll watch this. I don't really care if you're going to watch it. I'm not hard to find if you want to send me a message or not. But, I mean, when you do a podcast, at least don't do it outside by the swimming pool where I guess some kids yelling and trying to figure out what you say bad about Stingray. And you can not like the guy. You can like the guy. It doesn't really matter. I don't like the Kardashians. Guess what I don't do? I don't watch them and I don't talk about them. We're grown men, or at least us three. I don't know about you two. Thunder and Lightning. The only Thunder and Lightning was at Clemson. Get your mind right. No one takes y'all seriously, just like no one takes Mississippi State seriously at all.
No disrespect to Stingray.
Yeah,
Here's the thing. Stingray made a lot of bad decisions. After the Mississippi State fans disrespecting him, and Stingray owned up to those. He apologized, but quite frankly, that's all. That's it. That's the end of it. His love for Mississippi State is endless. He loves Mississippi State. He loves college football, and be honest with you, he loves people. So for you to come on here and sit there and disrespect the man because he doesn't know how to talk trash, let me tell you something. Clemson Tom and I know how to talk trash, and be honest with you, just like Clemson Tom, I'm not very hard to find my damn self. I'm not.
But honestly, it's to the point where like we're grown men. We don't trash talk anymore. Like that's gone away, unless it's like talking bad or like about a coach because it's part of the show and stuff. But it'd be different if Stingray made out with your girlfriend or something like that, which probably did. Have you seen Brandon Walker? I didn't. I wasn't really looking for him because he doesn't matter. All his I don't like Stingray. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
It's dumb. Like he goes on here and then he's got his followers and he does like a betting show. Good for him. I was going to Google him, but then I just went back to living my life. And then I poured and that's just my life. I don't let others affect me because what they eat doesn't make me. Why should I care?
Bottom line is this is the end of it right here. Brian Haggard.
Seriously. If you got a problem, let's solve it. That's it. And I'm not talking no violence, but if you got a problem, we'll come on your show. You come on our show. Let's hash it out. Let's grown men. Adults, we talk through things. Apparently they're running out of ideas because the insults and the cut downs are the whole reason I put my 8-year-old on here because it's we're dumbing it down to their level. That's just me. And honestly, I want to try that coffee that they're talking about in Starksville. And I don't even like coffee. And I don't even like that show, so who cares?
Enough said. We said what we needed to say. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 3rd and 3. Stingray, take over for us, please.
Let's go. Let's talk about some real.
Well, first off, I want to say thank y'all for having my back, guys.
That's what we do, boys.
I still don't like you, Clemson. Tom.
I don't care. I thought about not liking you either. Then I just went back to porno, living my life. It is what it is.
But my hatred for you is my life.
I know. It's the jealousy aspect. I get it.
Yeah, that hairline's jealousy. Go ahead, Sting.
I know. You probably are jealous. Your hairline's back here.
And by the way, I do want to say one thing to Clemson Tom real quick before we get going. Congratulations, my friend, on 10 amazing years.
Baby, you're welcome. Thanks, fellas.
Yes, sir.
A lot of hard work.
I saw that this weekend on your Facebook, and I was like, holy crap, that's awesome.
I saw on your Facebook, too, but I wasn't. I was shocked when I saw your wife.
I know. I constantly am. She's the greatest of all time. She's the GOAT.
No, for real. No, this, I always picture like Stingray, like not Stingray, but I always picture like Clemson Tom's wife, like looking like a cow, but she is beautiful. I was like, wow.
Yeah, she's a hottie. She's a hottie with a body.
Clemson Tom said it best. You'll give up fried foods for that. But anyway, before I get divorced for talking about somebody else's wife, we got any questions we need to answer, Stingray?
It was Monday night, the Ole Miss Rebels looked unstoppable when they faced and beat Louisville. Guys, real quick, do you feel like that Ole Miss, because of their defense now, could they potentially be a sleeper team and a contender in the SEC West?
Well, I've already said that Ole Miss is going to be a team that is going to be a contender this year. Ole Miss ain't nothing to play with this year. When Alabama plays Ole Miss, I'm actually kind of going to be kind of worried.
Yes.
It's Texas A&M and Ole Miss is the two teams that I'm really concerned with. After they get past Ole Miss and Texas A&M, the sky's the limit. I mean, I know the Burners are going to be like, 60-14, whatever the score was against Akron or whatever the freaking school is. I mean, come on, please. You played Glenwood Tech. You played Russell County High School. You didn't play nobody important. I can score. My grandmother can score 60 points on that school, and she's dead. Okay? So, listen, Ole Miss is going to be a contender. Lane Kiffin's doing something serious. So, Ole Miss, I'm going to tell you something. As long as you got Lane Kiffin, you're probably not going to have him for a very long time because Lane Kiffin likes to travel. And he likes to go somewhere with a beach. So, I'm going to tell you this. As long as you got Lane Kiffin, you better hold on to him as much as you can and enjoy, because he may bring you a SEC championship. Will he bring you a national championship? I doubt it. But he will probably bring you an SEC championship. So,
And
Alabama, Georgia, be watching out for Ole Miss. Mississippi State, sorry, Steve. Mississippi State, you don't have to worry about anything. You still going to be – that Music City Bowl is still going to be waiting for you, all right?
Good for them, Music City Bowl. At least they're consistent.
Brandon Walker's consistent, looking like Zach Morris. Go ahead, Clemson Tom.
I would like to jump in one quick second, going back to the Ole Miss game. Alabama and Ole Miss will be taking on each other right up there in Bryant-Denny Stadium, and that place right there behind me. So they actually do come to Tuscaloosa this year. And Lane Kiffin will be returning to Bryant-Denny Stadium as an opposing coach.
He ain't winning in Tuscaloosa. That just is what it is. Not this year, at least.
Right.
I do think his offense, once it catches fire, once he gets the right people in there, then we'll probably have a chance. But he's still playing with Ole Miss players from 2 years ago. That were their whole reason he got hired. Now, is he going to put up 50 points? I think he did that last year, didn't he? Against Alabama, he put up quite a bit of points. Probably do it. I would imagine he could do the same against just as good of a defense because Alabama just reloads, but. Could he beat him? Sure, man. He almost beat Alabama with Tennessee, and Tennessee wasn't that good when he took over. If he studies their offense and their defense Lane's a good coach when he's not hungover and not at the bars and not trying to, get with girls on the sorority row. Or I'm sorry, that was Joey Freshwater.
And I was really surprised at the jump that Landshark defense made between year 1 and year 2 because they were in the backfield, all night long against Louisville.
But it was Louisville. Let's not crown them as the next greatest team. We play Louisville in the ACC, and I get worried about them traveling home safe. That's about it.
Yes.
I hope you guys get home safe. That's really it. No one's worried about Louisville. That's good. That's good. I like it. I have a job. I can buy the expensive stuff. Matter of fact, I'm going to buy you new blinds. I'm tired of looking at this thing.
It's $100 blinds.
I'm probably going to buy you new internet too because you're glitching.
Yeah, pretty bad.
It's not your fault. You have 5 kids and bills. That's between you and God at this point.
Well, guys, let's go in and talk about another big topic this week right here. On the eve of the NFL season, TJ Watt is making the news out there because the Steelers are holding out on their negotiations of his contract. Guys, what are your thoughts on that?
They're going to have to pay him more. Period. That's all there is to it. You can't give up a talent like him.
Here's the thing. I don't think the Steelers will. They're very well known for saying no one man is bigger than the team. And he's not. It's not Roethlisberger asking for the money. It's Watt. I mean, you can find another position player just like him.
Well, his brother,
not less.
The only brother the only other linebacker as good as him is playing for Arizona right now, and that's his brother. So, of course, his other brother plays for the Steelers too. So, I don't know.
They probably will.
If the Steelers have the money, pay him. Bottom line, pay him. If you got the money in the cap, pay him. If not, trade him or.
But he's just a linebacker. He's not a shutdown corner. He's just a linebacker. You can go in the draft and find a decent linebacker. Yes. And granted, he's good and he ain't great. It's not like he was Ray Lewis demanding more money. You know what I mean? He's above average, and you can find an above average player. You can even find a decent player and run the right scheme and make him phenomenal. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at every 5'10" white receiver for New England. They're all Hall of Famers now because of Brady, because of the system. I mean, I could have been a Hall of Famer if Brady's throwing to me. I mean, I'm slow.
That hairline's a receiver.
It's receiving text messages from your girl. She wants to cook spaghetti. Tell her I don't like spaghetti.
I'm kicking one day.
The meatballs. I'm on board with the meatballs with the
garlic. Swear to God, one day I'm going to kick your ass.
I got a little thunder and lightning for you.
All right, so we've got a Clemson fan here and an Alabama fan. We have Clemson Tom and we have Joey Lozada.
First off, Stingray, you don't have to tell one of the greatest Florida Gators of all time today we're Florida Gator fans.
Yes.
Tomorrow we won't be, but next 15, 20 minutes.
Those are kind words. I appreciate the flexibility on that, man. It's an interesting group that we have here with Clemson and Alabama folks hanging out together, man. I didn't think that was a thing.
It's not. Trust me. There's a lot of trash talk that goes down.
There's a lot of hatred. We have to go be blessed every morning after we do the show.
Coming up next, we have a guy that I watched growing up playing football for the University of Florida. Chris Doering, walk-on wide receiver, got drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals, ended up getting traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars. One of the greatest, the catch that has ever happened against Kentucky. But this young lad remembers the catch he made against Tennessee, got tackled, stood up, trash talked the Volunteer, who I absolutely despise, the Tennessee Volunteers, slips on a ball. He's one of us, Chris Doering.
And can I add one more little thing here? He is an SEC champion. He is in the Florida-Georgia Hall of Fame and the University of Florida Athletic Hall of Fame as well. Ladies and gentlemen.
Can I add one more thing? He's waiting. Can we bring him on?
Yes. Chris, thank you so much for joining us, my friend.
What great introductions. I appreciate that. And it's funny that you mentioned that game. That was in early September 1994. I just got knocked out the previous week against Kentucky, so I was already a little woozy. I get hit in the back of the head, and my vision's blurred. The dude steps up, starts talking trash to me. I'm backwards, running my mouth, walking, step on the ball, fall down. And I remember watching the replay later on and hearing 100,000 people laughing at me at once. But it was humble, but did not slow me down from talking trash, man.
It is what it is. I actually grew up in South Florida, and one of my best friends in the neighborhood, his dad was a Bull Gator. So in between rooting for Clemson on Saturdays, we would go up because we were best friends going up to Gator games. So even though I wore orange, there might have been some blue in my attire growing up.
Good.
And watching you catch touchdown passes from Touchdown Terrace was the highlight of my adolescence. And fun fact, and I know for a fact you don't remember this. Well, I used to live in Gainesville. My wife and I were trying to buy a house, and we went to you for a mortgage.
Oh, wow. All right. It sounds like it didn't go through, which I hope wasn't my fault. But
no, we ended up. I live in Orlando now, so it was. We were trying to close on a house, And I got a job offer here in Orlando, so we couldn't buy the house, so I'm here.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, things work out the way they're supposed to, but I'll say this: it's always it's a bittersweet compliment to hear somebody say, "Man, I loved you when I was growing up," because that just means I'm old as hell now too. So I appreciate there being people out there that remember some of my games on the field as opposed to just the games on the set now for the SEC network.
Yeah, you were basically the guy when I was growing up because we didn't get a lot of Clemson games in Florida because it was before you could stream anything. So
can you believe that? Though, think about that. You mentioned the Kentucky catch. Like that game wasn't on television. Most people didn't watch it on TV. They heard it. Mick Hubert's call on the radio because it was on one of those pay-per-views that teams used to have to do. Now you can watch every single game that every single team plays. But back then, being on television was a kind of a big deal. So it's changed a lot over the last 3 decades.
No, 100%, absolutely.
Well, going back to your playing days, obviously you played under the hilarious and always feisty Steve Spurrier. Could you please tell us a funny Steve Spurrier story?
Well, first and foremost, I love that man. Outside of my parents, I don't know there's a more influential person on my life, both in terms of opportunities he gave me as a football player and what he did for me as a person and what I've been able to do successfully off the field because of the lessons that he taught me. So I speak of him in utmost respect. All of us, we love telling Coach Spurrier stories, and everybody's got a Coach Spurrier voice. It was I don't know in terms of what legalities we have on the show in terms of cursing, but he didn't like the F word. He said we were okay with saying damn, but you couldn't say the F word. And then that kind of changed on Saturdays. Because Brian Schottenheimer was our backup quarterback. He was the guy that had the headphones on and signaled plays. And I remember a game at LSU. It was an early game. We were playing in Baton Rouge like about 11:30 local time. There was very little atmosphere. We weren't playing very well. And I remember catching a little shallow cross, trying to catch a shallow cross that I dropped, and somehow it bounced right back up to me. And I spiked the ball, got a 15-yard penalty, and I came off the sideline, and Brian Schottenheimer goes, yeah, he just marked you. So it was one of those things that a separate set of rules on Saturdays from what there was Sunday through Friday.
Well, man, that's hilarious right there. All right, so can you please talk us through the most memorable catch that you had down there in Gainesville?
Well, a catch that I had in Gainesville or a catch that I had playing for the Gators?
While you played down there at Florida.
Well, I mean, the catch that he referenced earlier, the Kentucky catch, is kind of the one that put me on the map. I mean, it was such a you got to walk on originally. I grew up in Gainesville, went to P.K. Young High School, which is part of the College of Education at the University of Florida. Had dreams. Both my parents played at Florida. Had dreams of being a Gator. Had to walk on originally, and finally got a scholarship right before my redshirt sophomore season. So, during two-a-days, Coach Spurrier calls all of us up, and he makes the announcement in front of the team that I'm being put on scholarship. And I remember the excitement and the celebration that my teammates had for me, knowing, all the work that I had put in and the sacrifice and what it meant to me to be given that scholarship. And so, I went from that was probably mid to late August to the first week of the season in early September. We play a first home game against some cupcake team. I catch 4 or 5 passes in that game, feeling really good about myself. And then all of a sudden we go to Lexington in week 2. It was September 11th, 1993. And before the game, Coach Spurrier tells me that I'm gonna start. So here I went from being a walk-on to a scholarship guy to starting in a matter of weeks. And then early in the fourth quarter, I catch my first collegiate touchdown pass, and I'm thinking, man, this is the pinnacle of everything that I ever could have dreamt of. Catching a touchdown for my beloved Gators in an SEC game, what could be better than this? And then little did I know I'd have the chance to come back and catch the game winner with 3 seconds left that night. We threw 7 interceptions between Danny Werfel and Terry Dean. Somehow we're still in a position to tie or win the game, and to catch that pass and to have that go down as one of the big plays in Florida football history means a lot to me as a guy that grew up a Gator fan. And I'll tell you what, anytime I get a chance to go speak in front of Gator fans or go to a Gator sporting event, inevitably, I have people come up and say 2 things, right? The first is, hey, I loved you on that 96 national championship team, of which I have to remind them my last game as a Gator was the 95 national championship game against Nebraska where we got a beat. And then secondly, they say, I know exactly where I was that night you caught that pass against Kentucky. And, if you think about our lives, there's very few times that we can remember exactly where we were and what we were doing when a particular event occurred. And for Gator fans to remember me in a positive way in one of those memories really means a lot. So that's probably the one that stands out the most to me.
Looking at the future, do you feel like Coach Mullen is ultimately the guy that is going to win another national championship for the Florida Gators?
I honestly do believe he is going to. When they first hired Dan Mullen, I wasn't necessarily sure it was a great fit. And then all of a sudden in this introductory press conference, comes off the plane, Gator chomping, stands up there and enthusiastically talks about what it means to him to be back and the history of Florida football, tipped his cap to Coach Spurrier and what he was able to create there, was part of the national championship teams with Urban Meyer. So really understands the culture. That was one of the things that meant a lot to me playing for Coach Spurrier, a guy that played at Florida. It meant a lot to him. And I think it means a lot to Dan Mullen. Even though he didn't play here, go to school here, he was a part of a lot of really good teams. And so I think he takes great pride in that. And I think he's one of the best play designers, play schemers, play callers in certain situations. And I think he does a great job of evaluating talent that he thinks will fit in his offensive schemes, as opposed to just trying to sign guys that the other recruiting services think are 4 or 5 star guys.
Well, you're definitely one of the greatest Florida Gators of all time, and your team, the teams that you played on, were the blueprint of the dominance Florida would have not only in the 90s but in the 2000s. Being a 3-time national champion, a 3-time SEC champion. How much accomplishment do you feel inside when you look back at your college days and know that you did something so historic?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with, again, my history as a Gator fan, growing up the son of 2 Florida grads, living in Gainesville, going to not only every Florida game on the football field, but baseball, basketball, gymnastics, everything that I had a chance to experience as a kid. Being a Gator meant a lot to me. And newer Gator fans don't understand this, but there was not a whole lot of history of success in football. There was not a whole lot of championships. In fact, there were none. 84, they won it and got that title taken away. But until Coach Spurrier came, there was no official SEC championships in the Florida record books. So even though I'm disappointed that my last game as a Gator was a loss in the national championship game, I feel like I was part of some of those teams that led up to that 96 national championship win. And having, in my 5 years there, I got 4 SEC championship wins. Like, winning the SEC still means a lot. And I know that with all the success Alabama has had nationally and all, the SEC as a whole has had national championships, winning the SEC still means an awful lot. And to have 4 of those rings at home really is something that's extremely special for me.
Oh, I thought you only won 3. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I got my 91, the year I was redshirted. I didn't play, but I was on the team and I got a ring. So, yeah, I'll take. I'm going to claim that one if you guys are okay with it.
No, claim it. It's yours. You went to practice.
You're talking to an Alabama guy. They're gonna. You're okay to claim anything when it comes to Alabama.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
Speaking of Steve Spurrier, you not only played in college, not played under him in college, but you also played under him in the pros. Did you see a difference in his coaching style? Because I always wondered this. Is there a difference in coaching in like college and in the pros?
I did not see a different side in Coach Spurrier, and I think that's what some of the professional players had a little bit of an issue with. Coach really does a great job of dealing with 18 to 22-year-old kids, and I think that there were some guys in the NFL that were making as much or more than what he was, and maybe didn't understand how to take Coach Spurrier and some of the sarcasm that he uses to get on guys. But he is who he is. I loved playing for him. I love being friends with him now after my playing days. And, I think he's a great football mind, has had success at every level. But I think that he understands where he can be most effective. And that was, primarily at the college level, being able to take, young kids and turn them into men, both on and off the football field. So I respect what he did. What he did for me, he reinvigorated my NFL career. Like, I tore my Achilles tendon in 2000 playing for the Denver Broncos. I thought I was going to have to go play in the Arena Football League, and then all of a sudden, Coach goes to Washington. One of the first guys to sign me, or I was one of the first guys that he signed, and just completely revitalized my career. I had some of my best statistical seasons because of him, and then the following couple of years with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So he's. Again, I owe so much to him, and he's just such an amazing to have been a part of what changed college football. You look at the way college football offenses are played now, that all stems back from what Coach Spurrier did in the early 90s, spreading the field out, going 4 and 5 wide receivers, throwing the football as much. People weren't doing that in this conference or nationally for that matter. So he's revolutionized the way that the game is played.
Chris, I'm going to pull you up full screen since you were so nice to join us, and I would like for you to tell our followers where they can follow you on social media and where they can find you on the SEC network, please.
Yeah, so I'm on the SEC network primarily on the weekend. Me, Dari Noka, and Gene Chizik do Friday nights and all day Saturday and Saturday nights on the SEC network. Me and Peter Burns will be doing SEC This Morning on Fridays now and on Monday mornings too. So lots of different shows that I'll be on there on social media. Got to get back to being a little bit more active now that the football season's back up. I'm on Twitter at Chris Doering and on Instagram at CDoering28. So I don't know why I didn't have the same handles there. I probably should have thought about that, but doing a little bit more Instagram these days. I need to get back to being a little more active on Twitter.
Well, Chris, look, man, we appreciate you joining us. We feel that you are a part of the CTS family, and we really want to thank you again. And please be safe this fall during the college football season.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me. Thanks for including me, and really enjoyed being on with you guys.
All right, thank you, bud.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What are you doing, man?
I've got a couple things that I want to do real quick.
Okay, we'll do it at the closing.
What are you thinking about doing, Sting?
All right, hold on.
Sting, what are you looking at?
Sting, what are you looking at?
I'm downloading something that.
Look at our screen real quick, Sting. Pull us back up. That's what you look like to us. You're like, I'm just doing something right now.
I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
I was like, what are you doing, man?
Well, we really want to thank Chris Doering of the SEC Network and the former Florida Gator for joining us here on 3rd and 3. It was an honor to interview him, and hopefully, Chris, if you're watching this, you will come on and join us again, sir.
Well, is he talking to you, Stingray?
I was wanting y'all to say something about him. Come on,
okay,
dude.
he was nice.
Is Chris in the room with us now?
Can you see him?
Yeah, it was a really awesome interview. Grew up watching that guy, so it was cool to have him on. And fun fact, almost got a mortgage from him when we lived in Gainesville. But we ended up moving to this lovely house with better blinds.
I got you. Well, guys.
Those blinds are $100 a piece.
We're not.
Let's talk about some college football, guys. Now, obviously, last week we debuted our sleeper teams, and I'm going to pull up the scores of our sleeper teams, and we're going to start with Clemson, Tom. And unfortunately, Tom, your pick of Louisiana Monroe got squashed by the Kentucky Wildcats. Your thoughts on your sleeper pick?
I told you got to know college football.
Here's the thing. I told you the whole reason why I was picking them because half the coaches are from Clemson. And Kentucky, knowing Kentucky was good, I just had faith in my boys. That's it.
Yes.
Is it wrong to stick up for your boys when they're going against? No, it's not wrong to stick up for your boys.
Yes.
And I will say this. Kentucky looks like they didn't miss a beat. Georgia better watch out.
Yes.
It's between Georgia and Kentucky in my book right now. After watching Florida, looks like they're back to being Florida. Sorry, Chris. But
let's say this. If Kentucky can get past Missouri this weekend, then yes. But that is a trap game for Kentucky because Missouri with Eli Drinkowitz, they're a sneaky good little matchup right there.
Maybe so. They could be. I don't think Kentucky's going to have a problem with them. Let's see what Joey's upset pick was. Mine was stupid.
Yeah, go ahead and see what
He
Joey
even texted me. He was like, "I'm sorry, bro."
Danny Glover, baby. Danny Glover can represent.
I would also like to say this though. I was the one who gave Joey that pick.
You gave me nothing. I know my college football. I told you Tulane. I said Tulane's gonna be something serious, and y'all just laughed at me. I told you the kicker Danny Glover was gonna come out there and represent. If you ready to win some money, you count on old Joe. Okay, count on old Joe because I will make you rich. I told you Tulane. They didn't win the game, but they sure hair covered the spread. So here we go. My upset of the week: Colorado over Texas A&M. Now everybody's agreeing. Oh, yeah, Colorado, yeah. Because you know why? Kent State had 350 yards over Texas A&M, and Texas A&M had 5 turnovers. So bottom line is this, and that was just in the first half. I honestly thought Kent State was going to do something. Of course, Texas A&M came and win, but now Colorado is not no Kent State. It's actually a very good football team.
Yes.
If there's going to be a sleeper, it's going to be there. That's going to be the upset of the week. Colorado over Texas A&M. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Go ahead and put your mortgage on the line because you about to buy a bigger house.
And let me also add this little nugget to that game. This game is actually being played in Denver. It's not going to be in Boulder, and it's not going to be at Kyle Field.
It's going to be at Zach
altitude.
Morris's house.
The altitude will play a factor, my friends.
Yes.
It's going to be at Zach Morris's house. Brandon walking, looking, mother, hate you. Go ahead, Sting.
Okay.
Your pick.
I haven't done my pick.
You did your pick.
No, I didn't.
Your pick is
Mine was
irrelevant.
Oregon over Ohio State. I don't think Ohio State can keep up with Oregon's speed.
Well, your pick is irrelevant. South Carolina's going to beat Clemson this year.
And women's basketball, you're absolutely correct.
Stingray, close us out. Before I get
You don't want
mad.
to hear mine?
Before how many damn, go pick your team. Mississippi State.
I'm going with the Hogs of Arkansas. Woo! Pig Suey. Arkansas Razorbacks upset the Texas Longhorns in Steve Sarkisian's return to the SEC there at Texas. I'm going with Sam Pittman winning this game in Fayetteville and upsetting the Longhorns of Texas.
That's like a 9-year-old football team playing another 9-year-old football team.
I still think I think it's going to
That's
be.
not an upset. I mean, whoever wins that game is still going to suck.
I mean, yeah. Could be worse. I mean, I'm not picking Arkansas in anything. Just like I'm not picking Mississippi State in anything.
Stingray closes out on that note.
On that note, guys, this has been a great show. We hope that you will tune in again next time right here on the CTS. And I do have one final thought for all of you guys out there. Remember, When you watch the CTS and all of our great shows, it always makes you feel like a champion.
Except for Brandon Walker. Looks like a bitch.
He looks like a nice young man.
Brian Haggard. Podcast sucks. Stingray. I'm out.